Okay. Let's go here. What have we got? Oops, top secret materials. Shoopy doopy doo. Okay, good morning. On the dot after half an hour of frantic preparation. I'd say the half an hour before the stream starts is gah. Okay, we're here. We're up and running. Where are we here? This isn't secret. No, I meant the other piece of paper that was there. Right, this is okay. This is what we're going to do this morning. Okay, couple of jobs up this morning. First job, I have to finish the color separations for the next legendary loot print. This is the, I forget, July print. No, August print. I forget. I can't remember. So legendary loot color separations are going to be done this morning. I have to also paste them down on the block. So I've got the blank wood for them. It has to be pasted on the blank wood. It'll be sent to our carver this afternoon. Then the normal work this morning is going to be continuing carving on the microwave, the new version of the Great Wave we're doing. But in between those two jobs, after I finish this, I've got a bit of something special to show you. I was working on video editing yesterday, and I didn't get the whole thing finished for a lot of reasons. It's a long video. It's about a 30-minute video. I didn't get it finished, but I'll have a preview for it. I cut a little 2 or 3 minute clip from it, and I'll show that this morning after we get the meteors here finished. Well, now, where am I? How do I need to zoom out or what? Let's see. Okay, what we've got, I don't know what you know or what you don't know about these things. Some of these prints that we're doing, we will carve the key block. And then if we need 5 color blocks, we print the key block 5 times, color in the areas we want, paste those on new blocks, and away we go. Some of these images from Jed have color areas on them that are not defined by the key block. So they have to be prepared separately. And what we do is I've got printouts here from Jed's Photoshop master file for this image. Perhaps you can see what's going on. There's a solid color, a slightly smaller color, a slightly smaller, and a slightly smaller. You can see what's going to happen here. These things are going to stack up to make different colored layers. And rather than draw these all by hand, which is kind of pointless, we print them out from Jed's Photoshop master on the thin paper with the registration marks included. And today I'll be pasting these down onto new blocks. But part of the image also involves the traditional transfer method, carved and transferred. So we're going to combine those two things here. What I should do is show you the original. Layers of fire. Let me see. I've got it somewhere in the computer here. Let me pop up if I can find it. Let me pop up. Here it is. This is Jed's Photoshop Master. What you're looking at is not a woodblock print. It's the Photoshop Master Jed sends us, which we use to make the Photoshop print. And you can see up in the sky there's literally balls of fire. And you can see how they work. I've got one here which looks like just black. This will be the yellow. You see, where am I? In that image over there. The next layer down will be the first layer of orange, light orange, a medium orange, and then a dark orange red. Now some of those 4 tones pick up in the character at the bottom, the left-hand character at the bottom. So I will be combining those things with this thing here this morning on one of the characters, 2 of the characters, the red. How are we going to do this? This actually is not going to be so that easy. We've got to match them up like this, the registration marks. This was printed in the registration marks. These are showing the registration marks. So which should I do? Do I transfer that to those or transfer that to this? how should we do this? Oh, I see, I can do it easily because it's got the color on here. Okay, I get it, I get it, I get it. That's for the 4 oranges. Then there's the gray, which I'll just cover on this. Okay. What we're concerned about really is whether this predetermined by Jed orange zone is really going to match up with what she carved. Because if her knife moved a little bit or wavered a little, the lines won't match. This isn't trivial to make sure that they're lined up, you know. Which I think they look good. I think it's okay. Okay. Well, what we can do then is we can just run these straight, and then we need this one for the gray. Yeah, there's the hair at the back. Okay, I see. All right. Okay. So no problem. Okay, let's cut the registration marks. The Grey Wave batch, so any day now. I'm sorry, that's all I can say, any day. I was expecting it over the last few days. It hasn't showed up yet. I can't push the guy. You know, he knows we are desperate for them. He knows they're all sold. That's all I can say, that it will be ready when it's ready. Yamamoto-san, the young boy who is working for us on the Great Waves, he's double timing, you know. He's working for another print company. He's also working for us. He's working himself basically to the point of exhaustion, and I cannot push him. They'll be ready when they're ready. You know, there's people on the waiting list who are disappointed. There's people every day, without exception, there's people every day in the shop who are disappointed that we don't have it. I just can't do anything about it. You see what we're doing here. There's 2 ways you could do this. What I could do is this. I could cut this stuff like this. I could take this sheet like this, paste it down on the wood, and that would show the black corner marks. I could then cut the corner marks this way. That would certainly be a legitimate way to do it. In fact, that's actually how most of it was done back in the old days. The registration marks were printed on the sheets. They pasted the entire sheet down, and they cut through the back. What I prefer to do, I think it's more accurate for myself, is we cut these marks off here, which sounds sort of counterintuitive, cutting off the registration marks. But what I'm doing is I'm cutting them off, of course, exactly at the edge. So the edge of the paper itself becomes the registration mark. I then cut marks on the block and paste this in. So same result, but for me this is more accurate. Those are the registration marks now at the corner. So this, in other words, it's just like the piece of paper that we'll be using when we make the actual print itself. Someone says, what just got here? Is this a hook side design? No, this is not a hook side design. Although Jed might be happy to hear you say that. Okay, now we'll also need the gray. I didn't print the gray from the Photoshop. I'm going to keep the gray here because it's just from the outline, so I want the accuracy here. What is it? It's all the armor, the legs, the hand. Not the face. Has it got the arms? Jade put the arms in, you know. I don't think so. I think those are bare arms. I'm going to leave them off. Yeah, I think they look better as bare arms. Flap, here we go, here we go. That thing underneath there is included. And is there gray? Yeah, the gray is on the is it the mage? On this one too. Gray's on the helmet, it's not in the... Right? Is that what we got? And there's a grey line in the sword. That's going to be fun for her to carve. Okay, let's do this. Let's glue these down. There's 5 of them. And what we'll do is we'll find the nicest block. I think there's probably not much difference. What's this? Questions, questions, questions. I see black marks all over the place here. What's going on? Arms would be covered, you think so? I don't know, you know, I can see... He's done the same thing, the arms and the hands are open. I'm going to pull rank and leave it like that. I think it looks cool. I think it looks better with the arms open. You're all bare arms. The hilt of the sword is grey, which I've done. Is Jed here? He's not here. You know, gold on the sword. There's no gold. You mean the yellow, you mean? Yeah, but the only way I could get that, see, that's the yellow block here. How am I going to get that information? Should we try it? We could do it this way, you know. if I just line these up, let's see, what do we do here? In fact, what I can do is an easier way to do this. I've got an extra one. And what I could do, I know because there's no way to transfer it. I can trace it, but I can't do that while I'm sitting here. So you're going to have to excuse me a moment while I head over to the window. There we saw 99 years old, it feels like sometimes. Okay, let's do this then. Where am I? I need my paste. I need my water bottle. Don't need to punch two holes, John. They're all the corner. They're all lined up at the corner. Right there. There's my registration. These are all cut at exactly the same shape now. They all have the corner registration. So God, you were talking about the handle, not the blade. I've put the blade in. I just got to get going here. I've just got to get going, that's all. There's a level of attention and detail to the larger ukiyo-e prints, and then there's these little ones, and we just have to get them out of here. There's a certain limit to how much time we can fool around with them, and whether I should say so or not, I don't know, but we just have to get this stuff out of here, Okay, as the people that know about this know, we're going to do a tap on each one of these blocks. So if you are wearing headphones, once for each of these blocks, there's going to be a really sharp, short bang as I tap the knife down here. When I put the chisel in with the grain, I can push it by hand. It goes in quite deeply. But when I cut across the grain here, it's difficult to get the chisel to slide in cleanly. So if I wiggle, 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 it's not a straight line. So the best way is a short, quick, sharp tap. That's going to be noisy if you've got headphones. So I'll count down. 3, 2, 1, tap. That's going to happen 4 more times here in the next few minutes. Back in the early days of doing these streams, we learned that we had to warn people about this stuff. was going to be the yellow one. In and in. There's where we go. Okay, let's get this down. Tiny bit of water first. Moisten the block. The reason for this is if we don't moisten it, when the wet glue, which is also water-based glue, when that hits the block, it soaks in immediately, and sometimes there's not enough glue left to go into the paper. So just a tiny bit of moisture first on the wood, always, so that the glue now will sit on top of the wood just for at least a few seconds to get this thing done. We don't need much glue at all. The paper that we're gluing down is extremely thin. Most of the paper even comes off. There's very little left on the wood there. These blocks, they're cut from the same piece, you can see. We've got the same wood grain here. They're stacked up from the same block. When we buy wood, we buy, larger planks. We slice them up. So frequently we get slices that look almost exactly the same, of course. Okay, these are pretty much all the same, so there's no big deal. I can put them anywhere. All right, let's do this next one. Hey. Okay, tap time again. Ready, chisel in place. 3, 2, 1. It's a very, very rainy day here in Tokyo. We've had really mixed up, funny weather, Every now and then we get a gust of warm tropical air and we think, wow, the hot, humid summer has arrived. And then all of a sudden it'll switch back. And last night was really, really not even chilly. It was cold last night. So it's very switchable, back and forth, back and forth. Today's a dreary, drizzly day. It doesn't seem quite too cold though. Yesterday was a pretty productive day, of course. I was working on video. Those of you who have seen the Facebook post or the blog post I made yesterday. I had hoped to get the whole video done yesterday in one day, but it's a long one. It's about 30 minutes. And it just wasn't possible to get it all done in one day. So if all goes well, I'll be able to wrap it up tonight after the shop closes. And the video should be uploaded late this evening, Tokyo time, if all goes well. I should have brought a Baron from upstairs, but I forgot to get it ready, so I don't have one here. Fingers will do for this job. And what I've been using for the gampi for this, I know I'm running out of my good gampi again, so I'm using a bit leftover scraps. So that one you saw just now, and this one, it's using a different type of gampi. That was a really thin gampi. And this one is quite a thick gampi. This is one we were working on. Remember, we were going to get a good peel and stuff like that. This is one of those thick pieces. Mostly comes off. The white spots on the night's armor, they're coming out later. What we do first is, because it's difficult to draw those, we cut the gray shape round to the knight's armor at one spot at first. Then when that's done, after we do test printing, then we slice off those little areas. But I can't really tell where they are at this point. Again, this is stage 1, there will be stage 2 and stage 3. Tap time again. Get the blade ready. In place. Lock it. Right. 3, 2, 1, and tap. To recap again for people who are just joining us here, there'll be 3 jobs on, 3 activities here on the stream this morning. I've got to get these color blocks ready. Now this is the 3rd out of 5, so this will be ready in a few minutes. Then the rest of today's time will be taken back on the carving again. I'll be carving for the new version of the wave print that we're making. And then in between those, I have a small little tease for you. Not a tease, it's actual content. We worked on a YouTube video yesterday. And I didn't get it finished. I got the first 15 minutes of it finished. The other 15 minutes will come tonight. But I've got a 3-minute, 2.5 minute, not a trailer, but a little preview, which I clipped from the YouTube video. So we'll play that at break time as soon as I finish this job. We'll play the little YouTube preview. And actually there's a specific reason why I chose the particular 2 minutes that I did is because I need a bit of advice on it. Most of this video is, it's a combination of 2 things. It's me discussing a prints, And of course I'm showing them. Now this time around we're going to show lots more than we talk. I am talking and explaining about it, but there's much more, what do they call, B-roll, the actual video of the print itself. I've been, in those David's Choice videos, I've been talking too much and not showing enough of the print. So this one we go the other way. We're going to show lots and lots and lots of the print. And at one point I made a short series of photographs to show something progressing, step 1, step 2, step 3. There's 24 steps, but it's silent and I need some kind of sound or sound effect to go with it, and I wasn't quite sure what to do. So that's what I'll be asking you guys when you see this. Oh, where's the end? Come on, go loose. Another different piece of gum. They're all different. I was just using up a lot of leftover scraps here. Two more. Do we have comments I should be watching? I don't know. So I was asking me, how do you do this before we had laser printers, before Photoshop? Of course. I know, that's easy. I know this Photoshop work. This is Jed's color separation. The artist who designed this image for me, Jed, he made color separations on this. Now, because his tool is Photoshop and because we don't have outlines, it was easiest for him just to do his click, click, click on the screen. But if we didn't have Photoshop, what we would have to be doing here is this. We would have carved the key block as we did. I would have printed this key block, say 5 times, with a big open space here, and it goes to Jed. Jed, get your paintbrush out and paint in what you want in that open space. It was the artist's job to do the separations, of course. Now, probably because it's so difficult to just figure out where you are in the open sky, it would have been a 2-stage process. If we'd been doing this totally in the traditional way, we would have carved outlines for the characters and we would have carved outlines for the meteors. And then within those outlines, we could have drawn a color separation, drawn again a color separation, and done it 5 times. Then after test printing is okay, go back to the key block and carve away those outlines because you don't need them anymore. So there's lots and lots of ways around this. Don't get fooled by the fact that we're using Photoshop as a little crutch here. They did just fine without Photoshop, and we could do too, if it was necessary. One more tap coming. There's 2 taps left. That was my stomach. Sorry about that. Here we go. Hey, 3, 2, 1. Actually, that thing about the no Photoshop thing, the current Ukiyo-e Heroes print we're making, the one called Times Burned Bright, there's a whole bunch of areas on that image that Jed's given us that don't have outlines. Part of the color blocks are undefined by outlines. Jed just did it in Photoshop without outlines. And what we're doing for that one is we are doing it the traditional way, rather than paste down Jed's Photoshop printout. We are carving the key block first in its entirety. Then we are carving those areas that need outlines but don't have them. We've made up outlines. We've drawn them on his original image. And we're going to carve outlines in those places, do the color separations, And then once the color separations are safely in place, we'll carve off those unneeded outlines. Maybe the simplest way to explain that is, you imagine a picture that has a sea and a sky. We're making this as a woodblock print. And if the finished picture, you don't want a line along the horizon. You just want the sky to come down and the sea to come up. But when you're carving the color blocks, because there's no outline at that place on the design, how do you know where to end the sea and where to end the sky? So what you do is, on the key block, you carve a horizon line, very thin horizon line. Transfer that to the new upcoming color blocks. Carve your sea up to the line. Carve the sky down to the line. Do the test printing, make sure everything's okay. Then go back to the key block and carve off that unneeded line. We call it mudabori, waste carving. And bingo, you've got your color separations made. So that there's lots of ways to get around this. And please don't feel it just because we're going to use Photoshop here that it's an essential part of the technology. But that extra carving, the mudabori, the wasted carving, is time consuming. That example I gave you, a horizon line, is easy. But if we had to do it for these, if I had to carve outlines for all these meteors, do the color separations and then carve them off again, it's an insane amount of work, which really isn't necessary because we have a different way to transfer these areas. Anyway, sorry, talking too much about the same simple thing. This is another one of the thick pieces of gumpo. You can see it. It's coming off already. Look at this. There's really nothing left on the block almost but the pigment there. Okay, one more. If you're a master drawing and use a light table to transfer the separations, that's fine, but then you've got your, how accurate are you going to be with your drawing? How wide is your pencil and all that kind of stuff. We want more accuracy than a typical pencil or drawing tool will give. We want, as far as we can get, we want absolute accuracy. So for us, tracing things is not really a suitable answer. Lots of modern printmakers do. They make a picture, then they trace it and trace it and trace it for the colors. That's fine. Our level of work in these fine lines needs more accuracy than typically comes from tracing. Okay, last time I'm going to bang this thing. Chisel in place, locked. 3, 2, 1, put it away. Once this is done here this morning, I'll stack the blocks up for the staff and they will be sending them out to our young carver. It's a Noriko Kawasaki, young lady. She's our main subscription print carver. She lives down in Kobe. We've tried to get her to come and live closer here, but you know, whatever, life is life and she won't do that. But she's doing a really nice job for us. She's so good. She's a little bit slow because she's not trained as a super fast on a craftsman. But it doesn't matter. She's found her niche doing these no-stress jobs for us. She's very happy with it, I think, as far as I can tell. And we're very, very happy with the work she's doing for us. She's doing this monthly subscription print, and then she's also, during the time between getting these ready, because this is not a full month's work, during the time between these, she's working on main Ukiyo-e Heroes prints. The first one she did for us was Blue Storm last year, not last year, a couple of years ago. Then she did the block set for the Serpent Strikes, which is turning out to be a really nice, interesting one. And she's now working on the block set for, what does Jed call it? Two Souls Entwined. I forget. It's one of the Kickstarter campaign prints. Okay, let's get this finished, and then let's take a look at that video preview. Give me a couple minutes here. I didn't get breakfast again. I'm sorry, my stomach is noisy. I got up early and I was up before 6, and this stream didn't start till 8, but there's just so much else to do, you know. God. Whoa, there we go. Look at this. Nothing left on there. Look at that. Talk about easy to carve. Whoa. Okay. These blocks will sit and dry for a few minutes. They will be wrapped up by our staff and sent off to Kawasaki-san later this morning. Okay, what's next? Glasses away. Glue sticks away, water away. Oops, jig away. Okay, next job, the rest of the carving time today will be working on this block, but as I said, before we do this, let's have a look at a bit of video. Yeah, we've got a bit of audio sync on here, so there's that going. Okay. Now, I'm not quite sure how this works. We've tried this before, but I had some trouble with audio and voice, and I can't tell what we're going to broadcast here. I've got a piece of video, about a 2-minute video from tomorrow's upcoming YouTube video, but when I put it into the stream here, I myself can't hear the audio. And I see the little green bar going up and down, up and down, up and down. So I think it's broadcasting audio, but I can't tell. So once we start this new little video clip, if there is no audio or sound or something, please let me know in the stream. Although, not like there's anything I'm going to be able to do about it. But okay, here we go. Let's have a small preview of the upcoming YouTube video. It'll be David's Choice number 6. And the topic of David's Choice number 6, we mentioned it here the other day. Back in the Edo period, it was really, really, really popular. Books, novels. And what we've got here is we've got a pair of books. And this is the topic of the half-hour video that we're preparing at the moment. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story here. The whole story is in the video. You're going to be able to see it tomorrow. So no big deal. We don't have to talk about the whole thing here. But just so you know, this is a pair of books. It's one episode in a 48-episode long novel published over a period of years. And they were published in up, down, Joel-Gay, part 1, part 2 format. And the page you're going to see in the little video clip here, coming up in a minute, is one of the pages from the novel. This one. Let me just play it for you then, if it works properly here. Let's see. YouTube preview. I'll keep quiet, and let's see how this plays. Our own book. We left off at the point where the copyists had done their work then, cleaning up the designer's sketches, drawing everything cleanly, and filling in all the details. And then a specialist calligrapher would step up to the plate. He would have had the author's manuscript at hand, and on his desk would be the Hanshita sheet with a carefully prepared illustration and the bounding lines. His job, get the story written carefully into the remaining space. Now, Here's a mock-up I've prepared of the same page of our book using Photoshop to pull out the calligraphy to show what he would have started with. Now, Japanese in those days was, of course, always written top to bottom, right to left. So his starting point was defined up there. His job, fill the leftover space with the story, getting as much stuff in there as he could, but of course, having it end up both carvable and readable. The finished page, you can see, he has literally filled up every possible space on this page. But how do you now read this? It isn't laid out in standard blocks of texts. We know where to start, up at the top right-hand corner, and we move along following the top to bottom, right to left rule. And then when we get to this point, where do we go? Down here? Over here? What do we do? Now look closely and you can see there's a real key to this puzzle. At the end of this text block, look there, there's a little funny symbol, 2 triangles. This is the key. We have to search around to find the match. And there it is. That's the next key. When you get to the end of that next block, there's another different symbol. Hunt around again, and away you go, away you go, away you go. And finally, you get to the end of the page. I mean, forget the exciting and dynamic content of the story. Just the process of reading is so much fun. This brings us to another very important point about these books. These were page turners. No mistake about it. Action-packed, suspense-filled, page after page after page. And then when you are right in the middle of the heaviest action, you keep turning pages, you get to the bottom of one of them, and what does it say? Suzuku. To be continued later. Gah! Okay, there we go. It's just 2 minutes. It'll be about a 30-minute video altogether. Hopefully it'll be finished later tonight. Now what I need though, as I mentioned, sound effects. That part where I show the zip, zip, click, zip, click, zip. It's 2 minutes, 30 seconds of silence, and I need some more sound effects. I can't figure out what to do, whether I should just do it myself or something else. If you've got any ideas for sound effects for that last little segment there, zip, 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 pop, let me know. Today's the last chance. I'm going to have to get that thing uploaded tonight. So if I can find some sound effects today, that's what I'll use for it. The books are so much fun, you know. Honestly, they're so much fun. I know there really isn't English translations made of these things because for a couple of reasons. One is there were so many of these published. There were just reams and reams and reams of these published. And the academics who study these things, it's just pointless to try and translate them all. And the other thing is when you see, this particular one I've got hasn't been translated, but when you see a typical sample translation page from some other book, the content really perhaps is not worth it. What's the expression? The game is not worth the candle. It would be a huge time and trouble to translate them, but honestly speaking, the content just isn't there. You know, it's like whatever, some afternoon soap opera on TV these days. You know, if you couldn't understand what they were saying, would you translate it into your language? What's the point? Because there really isn't any content that's worth preserving or so. We know who that is. That's Cameron's son, I guess, right? So, overlay that footage during some of the time you were talking and cut out the silence. Well, it could be I tried that actually first. That part that I had with the zip, 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 zip going back and forth. I was originally talking over that and it didn't make any sense. It just seemed a bit silly. So I just took it out and left it as silence. Good morning, Cameron-san. How you doing?
Good morning.
I know the video production moved along. The package never arrived.
What?
Never arrived. The post office, whatever. So in that part of the video, I couldn't upload it last night.
Right.
So I did what I could do. I didn't bother telling these guys about that. It was enough.
So it's essentially done, except the one missing segment.
No, because what I couldn't do, that whole last half of the video is done in the other room, ending with that segment. So I couldn't do part of it because my hair would be different. Whatever. The lighting would be different.
Yeah.
So I just finished the first half.
Oh, no.
And then the whole second half has to be done, and I got to wait for that package. And if it comes today, it comes today. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I have nothing I can do about it. So.
Oh, man.
And what I just showed them just right now, have Cameron sing something. I don't know. Did you see the video last night? You didn't see it. There's the segment
I
where
read the blog and
but
I
no,
didn't
the
see
segment
what
where
you've
we
done
do
so
the
far.
jumping from page. What did we talk about it?
Oh, I saw you working on it yesterday,
So.
and so you had it silent, but you were thinking of speaking over it, or
Well, I tried speaking over it and it just didn't work because it just distracts from what's happening. So we need sound effects. And it's
boing.
I don't know. So whatever. I don't know how much time I want to spend on this. There's sort of three. There's the circle coming up, then. So it needs sort of three sounds: circle, read, go. Start, read, destination. Start, read, destination. It needs three sound effects. But give me a break. How much time I can fool around with it? So I asked them about it. Maybe somebody here will send a link to a sound effect or something. There's a bunch built into iMovie, which I could probably make, or just use the cheek thing, Here we are. Okay, what have we done? What I've been doing is I spent the first part of the stream here. I did color separations, of which they were giving me lots of advice, needed and unneeded. Then I just showed this video clip, and now I'm getting back to work on the microwave. Go for it. Okay. So let me get the crap out of the way here. And if you want to steal this machine, xylophone notes ascending. That is a great idea. In fact, that was something that was on the thing last night. I should use xylophone. Dop, 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 getting to the end and then brrr, at the very end. But I don't have a xylophone here. Whatever.
I've got a baby one. We could this little 8-note one or one octave.
YouTube watch. Somebody's linked to YouTube here. Benny Hill, Benny Hill, I don't know, that's pretty hacked, whatever. Anyway, Cameron, take the machine here out of my way.
Benny Hill.
Is this in, what image? Hang on, here we go, okay.
Good morning.
The other question, which I haven't talked to these guys about, I talked to Wade-san about this. These books, they come in pairs like this. And Wade-san's got a whole bunch. We've got quite a lot of them. He can buy them in good bulk because there's so many printed back then. And people did, they put them in drawers and put them in bookshelves and preserve them. So tons were thrown away, but tons were preserved. And they're about at this level. They're not 100%. They're a little bit dog-eared at the bottom. They're a little bit creased. Some of the strings will be broken and stuff like this. But all the pages are there. They're fine. Now, we want to put them into the flea market section of the shop. But they're all different, of course. There's that pair. Then we've got, another pair. This is volume 21. This is volume 6 from the same series. And Wade-san has lots and lots and lots of these pairs.
From different series, too, right?
From different books, from the same book, from different series. There was so much of this stuff published, but they all are of a type. They all look similar to this. Same size, same number of pages, the same idea. But how do we put them in the flea market? I can't sit here and scan every page of every one of these. No. It's just impossible. Do we just call it a generic? Here's a generic item in the flea market. A pair of these books, typically this level of wear and tear, typically this level, like this one here, it's got a worm. A worm has eaten this. If I had shown this picture of these books and send this one, they're going to complain it's got a worm. What are we going to do?
Grab bag, or what do they do in Japan? Fukubukuro. Some shops at the end of the year just give you a bag of whatever junk's left over.
But it's not junk.
No, it's not junk at all. But that's how the shops do it. So
maybe what we do one generic description page which shows the kind of issues and the kind of things these things are, and then just say you're going to get something like this. If there's something that's really bad, there's pages missing or there's giant tearing stuff, we won't include those.
Right.
We will include books that are at the kind of level that we're talking about here. But actually, which picture you get, I can't scan every one. We're talking about something, it would retail, they're going to be in the shop, I'm not sure exactly yet, because Wade-san and I have to negotiate a bulk price on these. They're going to be about $120 for the pair, like this, for a pair. And that's the condition. The strings might be broken. People can fix it themselves,
Rebind them?
Sure, the Japanese housewives would do that all the time. Used to always do it. The string just goes in and out, bang, sew it off. We could maybe make an instruction sheet so people could sew it themselves. So I'm not sure. Once I can figure that out, and then also how to package it, and what I've got is those plastic boxes. There's this click, click, open a plastic transparent box, clip, clip, and it goes inside.
Oh, okay, yes.
There are A6 size boxes that
fun.
fit these. So that's what we might do, I
that would
think.
work.
Anyway, if there's feedback, see if what the feedback is and how we should handle this, Because there's no way I can scan and describe and translate, blah, 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 every one. Not for a $120 item. I can't spend, hours and hours on it.
No.
Anyway, that's coming up soon. So, and we had sort of hoped that we could get that worked out before the video goes live, because the video goes up and there's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, wow, I'd like to get some of those. What's the deal?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's where we are. I got to get back to work here, but that's what's happening on that.
Someone's saying a graded scale is ideal. You could have, you'll get one book that's C quality, one book that's A quality, or one.
Well,
they can choose. You sell them at. You get a C quality book for this price, B quality for this price, A quality.
The thing is, they're pretty much all going to be the same. I know the ones that are really junk, we're not going to do it. The ones that have torn pages, missing pages, I don't want that.
Okay, makes sense.
So it's just they're basically really all the same level of quality. If I was grading them, they would all be at the same grade. My point was they're all going to be different images, and the things like the wormholes and stuff would be, a bit of difference.
Yeah.
So will it be acceptable to the market if I just put we will give you a generic pair of these books, but you can't choose. And maybe people in the store, of course, they're there on the shelf. Have a look at them.
Right. Is it cold today? Yes, it is cold
today.
It's
chilly, yes.
And yesterday too.
Has it stopped? It seems to have stopped raining. Actually, it was pouring earlier.
Raining pretty bad when I walked in, but
I can't see the video here, sir. Am I close or on, or what am I doing here? So
yeah, move a little bit. The edge of the frame.
Okay. Now?
Yep, right in the middle. It's very close. Where is it? Ken Hallett says a problem with the photos you posted showing Dave shooting the video. Now I want at least one, maybe two of the prints that he saw in the background.
Well, the flea market stuff.
Yep,
Right?
flea market
it's up to you, over to you, Cameron.
Yep, send me an email. I'll see if I can help you out. So you can do a short video flip through of the book, but you still can't do that with all
No, I can't.
100 copies of the book. Or
if it was a $500 item, you can do that, but not for a $120 item. So not to sound cheap, but I can't. We've got so many of them.
Yeah.
And we don't have staff, of course.
Yeah.
If it was a really, really rare book, then of course you take your time and trouble to set up that item.
Yeah, really show what it is. Aeromass asks, no boxwood inlay for this calligraphy? Do you usually use boxwood?
No, I have done. I can't say usually, and it would have been a good idea because this is going into the print party room.
It's gonna get...
to make it long lasting, it would have been a good idea. Yeah, it would have been a good idea. Next question, please. Although actually, the real great wave print, not the microwave, the real one we did, I did a boxwood inlay, but we had so much trouble with that. We're printing these in so many quantities. It gets dry, it gets wet, it gets dry, it gets wet, it gets dry, it gets wet. And the first boxwood inlay I did popped out. It swelled and shrunk different rates than the cherry wood around it, and it popped out. This was discussed in the video series talking about that. So what we ended up doing, and what we have now, is we have a separate boxwood block for the calligraphy that's not inlaid.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if it swells or shrinks because the registration is done independently of the main block. But we can't do that for this party thing. So. Whatever, it's going to have its life. It's like the image we have in the party room now. It will have its life. It'll do X thousand copies and then it will be retired.
Yeah.
How many thousands this will do, I don't know. We'll just see. We'll just do it. If it has to be recarved, so be it.
Cool.
None of this stuff lasts forever.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is going to be popular in the party room, and just as clearly, because of our experience, it's going to wear out.
Yeah. Yep.
Carvers are waiting for work. Sean-san would love to do this. Yumi-san would love to do it. We'll pay a carver.
Heck, bro, it's Cam from Australia. Yes, we've written emails back and forth a bunch of times. Welcome. Glad to see you in here. No. Yep, there's another Cameron, and so we write to each other, just, hey, Cam, because he had some questions with about Legendary Lead series. So. But cool. John Becker says, I hope it's broken in by November, but not worn out yet. Are you coming back? Are you going to do a print party in November?
John's come, he's come the last couple of springs, I think. Didn't come this year, but he was here last year and the year before in the spring. He's a long-term supporter from Tennessee.
Cool.
Yeah. Photographer.
Oh, you're right. I didn't see that question. Death Draw says, Cameron, have you ever worked in an office setting in Japan? Is it really as awful as they say it is? I have not, but I've known people who have, and they say it's as awful as they say it is.
What the travel company you worked for? Was it?
Well, it was a 3-person office, so it was a very different.
Not a giant corporate.
Yeah, not a big corporation at all. It was a little office next to the train station in a tiny town, so it was really
the corporate culture here is weird,
Yeah.
So I don't have any idea if it's ever going to get fixed. I don't know. I wouldn't be optimistic about that.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with us here.
Yeah. Saying it was a 3-person office with 10 people in it. No, it wasn't crimped like that. It was.
No, it's the other way around. It's like a 100-person office with only 3 people in it.
Yeah.
That's the other way around. That's what really happened.
Yeah. They were all friendly. It was nice. So that place wasn't the same kind of hectic, cramped, overwork, corporate nightmare.
How about the office you're in now?
I don't think I'm at liberty to say. No.
Other than your boss, I guess it's okay here, right?
Yeah. Boss is just trouble.
I don't know. I nearly lost it yesterday afternoon there for a few minutes, and that post office truck drove down the street. Who locked the fucking door?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We don't need to explore who locked the door. I'm also curious, was that the post office truck? Did they try and deliver or not? Because no idea. It didn't show up. So.
And they never left a note, which they almost always do. So it's just bizarre.
No idea. It sure pissed me off. I waited and waited. I didn't go for dinner because I was waiting for an evening delivery because they quite often deliver in the evenings.
Right.
Knowing people are at home.
No.
So I didn't go for dinner. Lost my dinner. Least time I was waiting. I was waiting to go for dinner. First time in a month.
Yeah.
I had to stay. And it still didn't show up. So.
Oh, man. But Cam's like, there's this guy who lives in our shop. It's crazy. He's still going on about the office life. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with that package. What's that called? Something pack. U-pack? Is that what he called it?
Yeah. They probably have tracking, but it's in the limited number of times I could phone Waitissan yesterday to bug him about it.
True.
So.
Yeah.
That package we received earlier in the day before, that book from 1920s, the one you were looking at, the kimono pattern book.
Oh, yes.
That was 5 days in transit in the post office.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, Golden Week, so whatever, all bets are off during Golden Week, but it was 5 days.
Yeah.
The post office, I don't know, Takuben service is killing them, just totally killing them.
Yeah.
I think maybe the post office to some extent may have just sort of given up. And sort of trying to get out of the package business, to leave it to those Takuben boys.
Yeah.
I don't know the background.
Make sure Dave eats something. Did you get any dinner last night?
Whatever.
Okay.
I had some stuff in the closet from Lawson.
Okay.
Scone. Are we ready for lunch today? That's a bit, but I don't leave that impression. I eat well. I eat normally well, but just yesterday was a bit of a
frustrating day.
Yeah. But I eat well.
That's good.
We had lunch together, you guys saw, right? So
Yeah.
super healthy salad, blah, blah, blah.
Yep. That's good. Interesting question. Do you recycle heavily damaged or retired blocks? Where's that burned one I was just holding? Oh, there.
Our own blocks, no, because our own blocks are our capital. We keep them. No, our normal situation is blocks never wear out within a normal lifetime of us using them. There's very few prints of ours that are made in the 10,000 level quantities. And the party room block is now worn out at approaching 10,000, and we will just retire it and throw it on a shelf. They're already thin. They're only 5 millimeters thick. We can't plane them down like the old blocks do.
Right.
So for us, no, recycling blocks is not a factor. Most of our blocks will live way longer than I will live. They will still be in use long after I'm gone, because we don't print that many copies from each of them. So no, it's not a factor for us. So yeah, Moko Hankan doesn't recycle.
Don't recycle. We hate the planet. No, different kind of recycle. But occasionally you have gotten older blocks with worn out designs.
Or we intend very much to plane those down and use the wood again. Absolutely.
Yes. So we will do the recycling of other people's blocks, but not...
The bit of a problem there is that old blocks, quite frequently, they have an antique value or a research value or something like that. So we just can't, off the cuff, we just can't destroy them.
Right.
Now, we'd like to use the old wood, but if it's an old block carved in 1868 or something, it has inherent value in itself. So we can't just simply splash through there buying the old stuff and destroying it all. It wouldn't be the right thing to do. So we've got to always think of those two factors. Those blocks on the floor sitting over there that I am going to recycle are completely, there's no value in the research value or the interest value or whatever. They're a type that is extremely common. They were fan prints. They are not an interesting design. It was something ephemeral at the time, and it has much more use for society now as a piece of wood than it does as a carved piece of wood.
Got it.
But it's case by case. If suddenly next week I got a couple of old blocks at an auction from that novel we were just looking at, there's no way I'm going to plane that down because they are so inherently useful for research and for historical interest. So we're common sense on these things.
Yep. Do you do the hardest parts of the carving first or the most time consuming first?
That's an interesting question. I can't answer it honestly at the moment because for me carving now is just a grab of time. I quickly grab a couple of hours on the stream and then run away and do other things. So I'll answer the question based on what I used to do when I was a normal carver coming to work every day to do carving. Coming downstairs and I'm a carving, so I'll spend the 8 hours or whatever on a carving. And what I would do is, because I was a carver and a printer, I would spend a couple of weeks preparing a set of blocks carving. Then I would spend a couple of weeks printing it, making my edition of 200 or whatever that we sent out into the world.
Right.
And the problem there is that while you're carving, you sort of get good at carving. You're practicing it for a while. You get really good at this and that. And then bang, you put the carving tools away. And I'd start printing for 2 weeks. So during that time, you lose your calluses on the carving fingers. When you're carving, you lose your calluses on the printing hand and whatever like that.
Yeah.
Remember, traditional carvers were just carvers. Every day carving. Printers were just print. But me, I was doing both. Yeah. So I would get really good at carving during the 2 weeks and put the tools away.
Yeah.
And after 2 weeks of printing, I'd come back and you're rusty. It's like a musician who hasn't practiced for 2 weeks. You don't stand on the concert stage and suddenly perform a concerto in front of an orchestra because you're 2 weeks rusty. Yeah. So I would start with unseen little corner out of the way parts of the image and start carving the quote easy parts, whatever, or invisible parts. And over the next few days, gradually you get back into it. Okay, now I can feel it. So I would never jump up to a block and do the eyeballs first. Just whatever. No. So that's a bit of a special case. My answer then is a bit of maybe a different answer to, a full professional carver who only carves, Now, these days, I'm not controlling anything. This is what's next, so I sit down today and do this, even though I am really actually very much out of shape because I'm not carving so much these days.
Hope that was
there's a bit of a sidelight to it too. If you go back even before that, my earlier days here when I was carving that poet series, before I was really at the stage where you could call myself a craftsman, I was still very much exploring and what am I doing and how do I do this, exploring along. And back in those days, I did something that I thought it was a good idea, but actually it was wrong. What I would do is I'd see each image, the face. I'm going to leave the face away because that's really hard. I'll save that for later.
Yeah.
And I would do what I thought were easy parts first. And then get to the face. And, like, for example, let's click. There's the face now. Okay, Dave. Hey, Tony, this is really difficult. Ready? Hold your breath. Ready? Hold your breath. Do that eyeball. And you know, that would be
Psych yourself up
for it. It's totally wrong because all you do is you're filling yourself with stress.
Yeah.
You know, it's totally wrong. And the lines are hard and stressed and yeah. And it's totally, absolutely the wrong way to do it. But I didn't know. I just didn't know. The best way to do it is just to forget it. There's no easy parts. Difficult parts, sit down, you just pick a knife up, just carve it. Just relax, just carve it. But you have to have a ton of experience before you can get to that stage, you know. If you're stressed about it, here comes the difficult part, you are going to screw things up. Absolutely. But it took a long, long, long time to learn that and to realize that, you know.
Yeah.
A true craftsman, I mean, an experienced craftsman in this field, or maybe in any field, I'm not sure how widely to analogize here. You don't think specifically, okay, here comes the tough part. You just take it all in stride as part of your job. You know?
Yeah. Someone says, the better question would be, what would Ito-san carve first? Since you said you have a special case where you're going back and forth.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I've never been in the position where he is, to have the freedom of just, there's the job on your desk, just do that job and do nothing else.
Yeah.
So honestly, I just actually don't know. You know.
Wild Omelet has a quote. I think I've heard somewhere else, but kind of going off of what you said before. If I don't practice for 1 day, I notice. If I don't practice for 2 days, the critics notice. And if I don't practice for 3 days, the audience notices. Have you heard that about orchestras?
So, I mean, I've used that joke in a couple of the videos.
Yeah,
I mentioned it. In fact, it's at the end of the
So
video.
that's you.
I'd heard it a different way, and the way I quoted it in that video was a bit of a different way, but it's a very, very famous.
Yeah.
I think I originally heard it attributed to someone like Joshua Heifetz, one of these old musicians, or Paderewski, a pianist, or something like this.
Yeah.
And it's a ha-ha joke about the critics, of course, you know. So. But yeah, it's. I'm sure, other than the part about the critics, I think it's a true thing, of course.
Yeah.
This is an athletic skill.
Yeah. Dusan Lepke, I'm guessing on pronunciation. But what's the biggest mistake you've made while carving something, or the one that cost you the most? Whether it be time or money. I remember you talking about one having to start over, I think, but I don't.
Yeah, I've started over a few times. And again, that YouTube video, we talked about this, you know, the whole key block for that autumn print and the Beauties of Four Seasons had to be recarved again. It wasn't from a carving screw up, it was the block became destroyed after I carved it. Not sure. There aren't really all that many episodes of total disaster for me to talk about, you know, without trying to be, you know, obnoxious about it. You know, getting better at this over a period of 30, nearly 40 years now is a sequence of making small errors and learning from them and fixing them, you know. There really aren't many total tragedies here. That, for example, that one we just talked about a few minutes ago when we were doing the Great Wave print, you know, the inlay for the boxwood turned out to be, whoops, that's not going to work. So you step back and you fix it, you know, you move to something else. These are just pieces of wood, you know, they're really quite flexible.
Yeah.
And the registration system means that you can just keep adding more layers and adding more layers. If one block becomes not good, you know, that inlay of that boxwood didn't work, you can carve the lettering on a totally different block. As long as it's got registration marks, you can print them together. And the end result doesn't know. So you can always divide the work into more small pieces if one of the larger pieces turns out not to work. You know, instead of one block. If this one, for example, if this was a real print, suppose I totally screwed up the lettering here and it didn't really look good, what would I do? Do I come back on this block, put an inlay here and fix it? No, I could just get another piece of block, carve registration marks on it, and cut the lettering again.
Yeah.
It would have to be printed separately, but nobody would know at the end of the day when they're looking at the finished print.
Right.
So it's a very flexible process, you know. And very few of the mistakes we would make are going to be deal killer mistakes.
Yeah.
Things are repairable.
Yeah. someone asked about repair, but they've already sent the bot, so thanks.
Repairs are a thing, you know.
And it's similar concept to what you were saying, just adding a boxwood piece. Or not a boxwood, but other pieces of cherry into the whole.
There was an example once, when I was way back at the beginning of the Poets series, there had been various newspaper stories about me here in the English press in Tokyo. And one day some guy, he was from Saskatchewan, I think, actually, he had tried making prints by himself. This is really early days, just as a hobby. And he'd asked, can I bring my blocks over for you to sort of help me and show me how to print? So like the acolytes here are doing on this page. But this is way back. This is like 1990 or something.
No Facebook.
No, nothing. And the guy came over and he had these blocks, and they were really quite clumsily carved. Now, I don't say this in a sense to insult him. He had no information, same as me. And he'd carved them very, very shallowly. And they really weren't printable. He'd carved some shapes, and then the inside areas, he'd like carved 1 or 2 millimeters deep.
Okay.
So you couldn't put paper on. It would just blotch totally between us. He just hadn't that experience.
Yeah.
So no problem. So I said, look, I've got my chisel. Can I sort of deepen some of this bit so we can print it? He says, well, great help. Thank you. Yeah, let's do this. So I put his block on my table and then whap it, whap, 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 whap. And part of the way through this, he makes this noise. No, And it turns out that what I've done is he's sort of drawn his little registration marks in a funny place. I haven't noticed what they are. And I just carved them off. I just wanted my chisel, bang, 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 and took off both his registration marks.
Oh, no.
And at that point, he thought, oh my God, all my work, everything has been destroyed. It's all gone. And he was semi-upset, semi-angry. What's going to go on? And I didn't even know what he's talking about. So he says, the registration mark, I'm like, that was the registration marks. I'm sort of semi-laughing at him. And he's like ready to punch me out. And I'm like, just look, guy, just relax. Tell me where they should have been. And so we figured out where those 2 little marks should have been.
Yeah.
I dig it deeper. Within like 30 seconds, jam in a bit of wood. We draw on the front, put it back in. And within like 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, we've restored the registration marks. It doesn't matter. It's just a piece of wood. You can fix it.
Yep.
But for a couple of seconds there, he thought, oh, shit, it's all over. My whole work, all my work for the past few months has been destroyed.
They've sabotaged the only other Canadian woodblock printing.
So they're just pieces of wood. They're totally flexible, you know. We did that last week with Ishikawa. We moved the registration marks.
Right.
There's very, very, very few mistakes that are totally destructive, deal-killing. Oh my God, what are we going to do? You know, it almost never happens like that. You know.
Koringami says, how would you go about recarving a key block that got totally worn out and destroyed? You use the color blocks as a sample print?
Well, no, this is the one thing that you really can't do. Now, it depends. If you had done the original key block from, say, Jed's Photoshop image, something, and if you had carved it pretty much on the line, following the instructions, then you can carve another one that is really going to pretty much match that. But if you've carved it using a lot of freedom, if you've wandered off those lines and played around with it a bit and made your color blocks, then the original master doesn't help you because it's different. Yeah. And you can't really take a color block, run backwards and print it onto some master and try and draw your lines on it. It just doesn't work that way, you know.
So in that way, or in that case, you would have to
that's
do
what we've done
key
with
block again, and then all the color blocks based off of that key.
Yes, really.
Restarting completely.
Unless, as I said, unless you would really sort of stuck by the lines on the original one, how thick the lines are. That's the situation facing us with the Peach Boy print. Now, of course, the color blocks, we've already recarved them once over. Yeah. Because we had the key block for a guide, and the key block is now dying. We're just going to cut and run. There's no point to try and patch it back together. Just cut and run. This is the girls. Are we out of time already? What's happening here?
9:19. They're a bit early.
Okay, we can keep going here. Okay. Right.
Ohayou gozaimasu.
We got 3 of them. Do we have today? Who's in? It's Audrey and...
Everybody. Shiba-san.
You came all together or you were waiting?
And
Ishuni?
We met on the train.
You were waiting outside?
We arrived together.
We left together.
Outside.
Really? Look at all 3. Look at this. 3 ladies. Whoa, my 3 girlfriends here today. Hello. I like Wednesdays. No, I really, really like Wednesdays.
We like Wednesday too.
Yeah. A couple of things. It's because you guys are so competent with the parties, I don't have to do all the parties. So I can introduce the parties and stuff. So when I get up in the morning, what day is it? Oh, Wednesday. Oh, it's Wednesday. I'm okay. You know. No joke, I really do. Wednesdays for me are totally stress-free. Mondays, it's me and Kawai-san go to the parties. He's okay, but I got to run the things.
Gotta be
Wednesdays is just so nice.
Yeah.
Right? If I had it like this every day, I'd be the happiest man in town. But that's the goal, mate. Have such competent staff who are so good at this that I can trust them totally to do this.
You can just go.
Well, not just cover. I'll do things. I'll be in the parties with them, but the responsibility I know 100%. And if a phone call came and I had to run out somewhere and do something, I know I can leave it with these guys. And not only can they do the job, the customers are going to walk out of this place so happy.
Yeah.
These guys enjoy themselves while they're doing the parties, and some of the other staff are
Less enthusiastic.
less enthusiastic. And the people have a good party, but they don't have a super fun party. And the Wednesday parties are super fun. So, I shouldn't say this out loud, but whatever, So, and the goal is to have all the staff to do it at that level of personal enjoyment, And you can describe it to people in words, but if it's not their character, you can't make it happen. These 3 kids are all happy people. Innately happy people, and they bring that to their job, not because they're trying to do the good job because David told them to do that. They're just freaking having fun, and you can't teach that. And how you choose for that in your hiring process, I don't know.
Have everyone take the Myers-Briggs personality
It
test.
doesn't do it.
I know. That's why I bring it.
That's why I hired Koizumi-san a couple of weeks ago, because he had come in on the off chance might there be work here, and the kid's already laughing as he's coming in.
Yeah.
Wow, this is such a freaking interesting place, and he's laughing.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be here for a job interview. He's Japanese. He's supposed to be serious.
Yeah, but he's
And he
just
was
a
already
cheerful
laughing.
guy.
So I said, right there, that's it.
Yeah. Bring him
He
in.
tries to bring out his Hideki his school thing. I said, throw it away. I don't want to see that.
Okay.
He's like, what? ね、すみません、渋さんじゃなくて、渋さん、パーティー用意があったんです。今のキャレンダーはちょっとアップデートしてください。
わかりました。
書いてない要約ありますから。
わかりました。はい。
John Becker says, that's it. I'll schedule for a Wednesday. Schedule on a Wednesday.
Yeah, I wouldn't, I mean, whatever, I'm not supposed to say things like this, but yeah, that would not be a bad idea. I'm assuming that today's Wednesday schedule will be ongoing. We don't know. The staff does change things around. At the moment, Wednesdays are Shiba-san, the girl who's doing designing, carving, and printing, and then Audrey, the French girl, who's here studying carving, not studying carving here, but at Asak-san's place, and then young Dei-chan.
Yeah.
But she's a high school student, so I can't guarantee that she will be on the same day.
Some weeks it's not on Wednesday.
so
It changes.
But that's today's crowd, and they're already chatting and having fun, fooling around. And man, they waste so much time. But I don't care.
Heritage Printmaker says, pencil scratching, go to print party on Wednesday.
Well, as I
They're
said,
taking notes from the master.
That's
again.
fine. That's fine. But this is not carved in stone for the next 50 years. That's as it sits right now, this current spring, with our staff schedule as it is.
Yeah,
So.
but schedules change.
But the other thing, there's a downside to that. Just so we could put, honestly speaking, they're really good at it. But it means I don't do it. I won't be hosting the print parties today.
Yeah.
The print parties today will be hosted by the Japanese staff.
Yep.
So if you wanted to come some other day, maybe your host will be me. Who knows?
Yeah.
So be careful with your little notes and memos about what day you want to come here.
Yep.
Yeah, the goal eventually is to have all the party staff as competent and as friendly as those guys are. My job, I won't be doing parties. I will be introducing them, I host them, I greet the people quite often.
Yeah.
But I don't need to sit there and hold their hand while they print, and that's okay because the staff is this staff is so good at it.
Yeah. Saying, skip Myers-Briggs, go by blood type. That's the best indicator.
I hope there's a smiley face on that or whatever it says.
It says, trust me. It's contact.
Is that that's not John Becker? Quanta. Okay. Got it. If we wanted to really do it the Japanese way, right?
Yeah.
When in Rome,
Yep.
blood types. Give it a break. We keep getting that, people would ask me, what's your blood type? It happens in the interviews, and I can't ever remember it. I don't know. They're like, you don't know your blood type. Like, what? How can you?
The only time I need to know this is when I'm donating blood
or I'm
when
on the stretcher,
getting, Yeah, when I'm
Exactly.
getting blood donated to me.
Also, they may need updating. We took the cash out yesterday to do those deposits,
Yeah.
remember?
Mm-hmm.
They might not understand what's happened. I did another. I went to 7-Eleven last night with
Okay.
leftover cash. So,
Okay.
so they might be thinking, what the hell's
Yeah.
going on here? We should, I think, perhaps get ready to roll this off. eh?
Okay, yeah.
'Cause I do,
Yeah, 9:25.
So you can see what the stream's going to be the next few days, I guess. I know I do have also a sizing stream sometime in the next couple of days. I mean, not a sizing stream. I mean, I have to do some sizing
Right.
sometime next few days. So that might be what the stream is somewhere. I don't know what day it is yet.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's this to continue. And another job that I've been postponing that I have to finish now real soon is the woodblock print for the share certificate.
Ah, right.
You know, the Patreon share certificate?
Yep.
Mr. Koringami is here, right? He sent me the last one this morning, and we're there. We're done. It's,
Cool.
It's good. It's really finished, except for the woodblock print part.
Yeah.
And I've just been sort of later, maybe later, maybe later, maybe later, and later has arrived,
Later has arrived.
and I have to carve and print something. I have to carve something and test print it so that it can be printed on those share certificates, because those were supposed to go in May. They're not. That's not going to happen now. But I've got to be able to show progress for the people who are waiting for those things. So that may be happening. It could be happening tomorrow or something. I don't know if I can find time for it.
Someone asked, the large glass object, currently not in view, seemed to be using as a light diffuser. A water-filled lens originally used for detailed carving. No, it's a round
It's a light
flask,
diffuser, yeah.
right?
But it's a light diffuser.
Yep.
There it is. It's between me and the light bulb, and it diffuses. It diffuses the light nicely. Look at this. You see the shadow of my, where am I? See the shadow of my knife? There is no shadow of the knife because the light has been diffused well. This is not my idea. This is, the Meiji carvers used to use it, and we suspect it came through from Europe. When the Europeans used these flasks to actually, they had candles. They had candles behind the flasks, so it sort of spread the light wider.
It says, is there a Pokemon on the bottom of the flask? No, I think you were probably just seeing reflected light from something. I have no idea. There's no pocket monsters in here.
What are we seeing? Oh, I know what it is. It's the underneath. See this light?
Yeah.
The thing where I have the light bulb screwed in is a double socket, and that thing is reflecting off the bottom. So what you're seeing is a sort of
The empty socket.
yeah, that thing down at the
Ohio
bottom there.
gozaimasu.
It's a reflection of this stuff. If I put my finger in, Tsuga-san, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Anyway, I think Cameron-san,
Okay,
we have got to
better
start our
get
day's
going.
work in the
Okay.
shop. We have got to get going.
We
Let me
will.
zoom out here for a second. Good morning, Tsuga-san. Hello. Say hello to the stream.
Sorry,
It's here behind
Mr.
Cameron-san.
Question.
おはようございます。映ってる？あ、
はい
映ってる。見えた。あー、寒い。
Okay, we will.
I think we are done today. We've had interesting stuff. We've had a bit of carving. We've looked at a couple of old books. We had a video preview. And we saw some color separation work. That's not a bad little stream. No? Same time tomorrow, same time, same place. Not sure what I'll be doing, but we'll be doing something.
Sounds good. We
Sign us off, please, sir.
will see you later.
Thanks, gang. Thanks for watching.
Okay.